In the cold, unforgiving architecture of the natural world, there is no such thing as a neutral interaction. Every organism you encounter is either a contributor to your survival or a drain on your vital resources. There is no middle ground. There is no casual friendship. There is only the exchange of energy. You walk through your modern, sanitized life convinced that the people around you are motivated by the same social contracts you were taught in school: kindness, reciprocity, and mutual respect. You are hallucinating. You are a biological resource, and in the eyes of the unevolved, you are nothing more than a harvest waiting to be reaped. We are going to deconstruct the parasite radar. We are going to dissect the biological reality of the human parasite, the individual who has evolved not to create, not to hunt, and not to build, but to attach themselves to the life force of a sovereign host and drain it until the host collapses. Most of you are currently being eaten alive. You have friends who leave you exhausted, partners who keep you in a state of perpetual anxiety, and colleagues who sow seeds of doubt in your mind to keep you at their level. You call this social obligation. I call it biological failure. You are allowing ticks and lampreys to feast on your ambition because you are too afraid of the silence that follows the extraction. You are a dying host, and your refusal to see the rot is the primary symptom of your own decay. Let us analyze the biological tax of the parasite. In the wild, a parasite does not kill its host immediately. That would be inefficient. It wants the host to keep working, keep eating, and keep breathing so that the parasite can continue to siphon off the surplus. In the human hierarchy, the parasite operates on the level of the nervous system. They do not steal your money directly, at least not at first. They steal your cognitive bandwidth. They trigger your stress response with manufactured drama. They exploit your mirror neurons by projecting a false image of suffering or need. They hack your social immune system by using the language of loyalty and shared history. Every minute you spend thinking about their problems, every hour you spend defending yourself against their subtle insults, and every day you spend helping them out of a hole they dug for themselves is energy that is being diverted away from your mission. You are paying a metabolic tax to people who would not even attend your funeral if there wasn't a free meal involved. Look at your own state of mind. You feel drained, unmotivated, and stuck. This is not a mystery. It is the result of a biological drain. You are carrying the weight of a dozen social parasites, and you wonder why you cannot run with the hunters. You are a walking buffet for the mediocre, and you are doing it to yourself. The primary defense mechanism of the human parasite is the inversion of reality. They have perfected the art of making their weakness your responsibility. They use their victim status as a tactical weapon to bypass your dominance filters. When you try to set a boundary, they call you selfish. When you demand excellence, they call you unfeeling. They use these linguistic shibboleths to trigger the nice guy program in your brain, the program that tells you that you are a good person only when you are being exploited. This is a lethal software corruption. A good person, in the biological sense, is a sovereign man who protects his energy so that he can build a fortress for his pack. A man who allows himself to be drained by parasites is not good. He is incompetent. He is failing his ancestors. He is failing his future, and he is failing his own biology. You are currently sacrificing your potential on the altar of politeness. You are letting people who have zero investment in your success dictate the terms of your existence. You are a biological pawn, and your refusal to develop a parasite radar is an act of active self-destruction. You are choosing to rot so that others can stay warm. The masses are currently parasite colonies. They move in groups defined by shared trauma, shared complaints, and a mutual commitment to staying exactly where they are. They have a crab in a bucket mentality. The moment one of them attempts to climb toward the light of sovereignty, the others use their collective weight to pull them back down. They call this support. I call it a social noose. If you are surrounded by people who do not talk about the hunt, do not talk about the build, and do not talk about the future, you are in a parasite colony. You are being conditioned to believe that your ambition is a disease and that your desire for dominance is a character flaw. This conditioning is designed to keep you safe within the herd, where you are easy to harvest. Every day you remain in this environment, your internal predator signal grows weaker, your testosterone drops, your mental clarity fades, and you become just another pillar of society, a stationary, decaying target for the next generation of parasites. You are disappearing into the grey noise of the unevolved, and you are doing it with a smile on your face. The first movement of the sovereign man is the clinical recognition of the rot. You must look at every person in your life and perform a bio-audit. You must ask, does this person person increase my capacity for the hunt, or do they diminish it? If the answer is anything other than a definitive increase, they are a parasite. There is no neutral. If they are not providing you with information, resources, or specialized support, they are taking up space in your nervous system that belongs to your mission. You must stop making excuses for them. We've known each other for years is not a reason. It's a confession of long-term failure. They are family is not a shield. It is a biological trap that parasites use to ensure a lifetime of free energy. You must realize that your identity is currently defined by who you allow to eat you. To become the apex, you must shed the parasites. You must be willing to walk through the void of silence that occurs when the noise of the parasites is gone. It is only in that silence that you can hear your own instincts again. It is only in that silence that you can begin to build the fortress of the self. To defend the fortress, you must first identify the breach. The human parasite does not arrive with a warning. It arrives with a smile, a tragedy, or a flattering word. We must categorize the rot. The first and most dangerous is the professional victim. This is an individual who has turned their own incompetence into a tactical resource. They broadcast their suffering to trigger your primal urge to protect the weak. But in the world of power, a man who is perpetually in a state of crisis is not a victim. He is a predator of your attention. He uses his failure as a hook to drag you into his pit. Every time you save him, you are reinforcing his parasitic survival strategy and draining your own metabolic reserves. You are rewarding the very behavior that is killing your mission. He does not want to get out of the hole. He wants you to stay in the hole with him, so he does not have to face the silence of his own insignificance. The second type is the chaos sour. This parasite feeds on the high-frequency noise of drama. They do not have a mission of their own, so they occupy their time by injecting instability into yours. They arrive with news, with concerns, and with subtle whispers of what others are saying behind your back. Their goal is to rupture your focus, to cloud your OODA loop with unnecessary data, and to keep you in a state of reactive anxiety. A man in a state of reaction cannot be a sovereign. He is a servant of the noise. The chaos sour is a biological distractor, a social virus designed to break your concentration so that you become as aimless and as weak as they are. They are the friction in your machine, the sand in your gears, and until you extract them, you will never achieve the speed required for the hunt. The third type is the status lich. This parasite attaches itself to your reputation, your network, and your assets. They are scene leeches who want the benefits of the pack without ever participating in the hunt. They drop your name in rooms you have not entered. They use your resources to fuel their own mediocre fantasies. They provide zero value, zero intel, and zero defense, yet they expect a seat at the table when the harvest is shared. They are the dead weight that causes the ship to sink during the storm. If you do not perform the clinical extraction of these entities, you are effectively subsidizing your own destruction. You are a biological engine being used to power a dozen parasitic lives, and the result is the inevitable collapse of your own sovereignty. You must sharpen your radar. You must see the signal behind the noise. You must realize that every parasitic attachment is a leak in your life force that will eventually leave you empty. The first step is the audit of intent. You must look at every recurring interaction and ask, what is the cost of this person's presence? If the cost is your clarity, your peace, or your momentum, the price is too high. You are currently being harvested by people you call friends and family. You are allowing your empathy to be used as a handle to move you according to their whims. You are a biological pawn, and your refusal to see the parasites is an act of active self-sabotage. You are choosing to rot so that the unevolved can stay warm on your energy. Stop the leak, scan the perimeter, and prepare to cut the cord with the cold indifference of a surgeon. Language is the primary interface through which the human parasite attempts to override your biological firewalls. Most men believe that words are meant for the exchange of information, for the building of bridges, or for the expression of truth. This is a naive and dangerous assumption. In the arena of social predation, language is a delivery system for psychological pathogens designed to paralyze your will and make your resources accessible for extraction. The parasite does not use words to describe reality. They use words to reframe reality in a way that places them at the center and you at the periphery. They utilize high-frequency emotional triggers, guilt, debt, and loyalty, to hack your social immune system and bypass your logical defenses. If you do not have a linguistic shield, you are essentially walking into a combat zone without armor, allowing anyone with a tragic story or a manipulative tongue to dictate the terms of your existence. We are going to dissect the linguistic traps of the human parasite, showing you how to identify the hidden commands within their speech and how to neutralize them before they reach your nervous system. You are currently being moved like a pawn by words that carry no weight, and your inability to see the strings is the primary evidence of your own mental subjection. The first and most effective weapon in the parasite's arsenal is the weaponization of guilt. Guilt is a biological alarm system designed to keep the pack cohesive, but the parasite has learned to trigger this alarm artificially. They look for the nice guy program in your brain, the deep-seated need to be seen as a good man, and they use it as a handle. When they fail, it is somehow because you didn't support them enough. When they are miserable, it is because you are too focused on yourself. They use phrases like, "I thought you were different," or "I didn't expect this from you," to create a sense of moral debt. The moment you feel the need to explain yourself, you have already lost. The moment you attempt to prove that you are a good person, you have handed the parasite the keys to your treasury. You are allowing them to define the moral code of the interaction, and in their code, your only virtue is your utility to them. This is not a relationship, it is a psychological siege. You must recognize that guilt is a chemical signal that can be manufactured by anyone with an agenda. If you do not learn to view guilt as a data point rather than a command, you will spend your entire life paying for crimes you didn't commit to people who don't even exist in your future. The second trap is the artificial creation of debt. The parasite understands the law of reciprocity, the biological urge to return a favor, and they use it to create a leverage trap. They perform small, unrequested favors for you, favors that cost them nothing, and then they wait. Months or years later, they will attempt to cash in that small favor for a massive extraction of your time, money, or emotional energy. They use the phrase, "after everything I've done for you," as a blunt force instrument to shatter your boundaries. They want you to believe that you are eternally indebted to them for a past that they have curated. The apex predator understands that true value is measured in the present. He does not accept gifts from those he has not vetted, and he does not allow a $10 favor from 5 years ago to dictate a $10,000 decision today. You must perform a linguistic debt audit. Look at the people who claim you owe them. What did they actually provide? Was it a contribution to your mission, or was it a social anchor designed to keep you at their level? Most of your debts are hallucinations created by parasites to ensure their own survival. You must have the coldness to walk away from these imaginary obligations and focus your energy on the hunt. The third and perhaps most insidious trap is the distortion of loyalty. Loyalty is a sacred bond within a high-performance pack, but for the parasite, loyalty is a one-way street used to protect the incompetent. They use the language of the old times and the tribe to demand that you tolerate their stagnation, their drama, and their drain. They tell you that friends stick together, regardless of the cost. This is a perversion of the pack instinct. In the wild, loyalty is granted to those who contribute to the survival and dominance of the collective. A member who only consumes and never hunts is not a loyal brother. They are a biohazard. By demanding your loyalty while providing no value, the parasite is asking you to commit biological suicide for the sake of their comfort. They are using your honor as a chain to keep you in the mud. The sovereign man understands that loyalty is earned through shared struggle and mutual excellence. If the person next to you is not helping you sharpen your teeth, they have forfeited their right to your loyalty. You are not a bad person for cutting off a stagnant limb. You are a surgeon saving the body. Finally, we must talk about the linguistic extraction of information. The parasite is a master of the soft probe. They ask seemingly innocent questions about your plans, your finances, and your weaknesses, not because they care, but because they are looking for a breach in your fortress. They gather social intel that they can later use to manipulate you or to sell you out to others. They use the mask of concern to find your pain points. You must become a linguistic black hole. You must share nothing with those who have not proven their worth in the hunt. Your plans should be a secret, your wealth should be invisible, and your weaknesses should be protected by a wall of absolute silence. Most of you talk too much because you want the dopamine hit of being seen. You are giving the parasites the manual on how to destroy you. You are literally talking yourself into extinction. Stop. Close your mouth. Observe. The one who speaks the least is the one who hears the most, and the one who hears the most is the one who controls the environment. Master the art of the empty response. Use words to deflect, to camouflage, and to hide your true intentions. If the parasite cannot find a handle, they cannot move you. We have reached the terminal phase of the hunt, the extraction protocol. You have mapped the perimeter, you have identified the rot, and you have audited the linguistic traps. Now, you must act with the cold, surgical indifference of a predator that has detected a gangrenous limb. Most men fail at this final threshold because they remain shackled by the sentimental hallucinations of closure and explanation. They believe they owe the parasite a final dialogue, a chance to defend themselves, or a justification for the extraction. This is a catastrophic strategic error. A parasite does not want an explanation, it wants a connection. Every word you speak during the exit is a thread that allows them to remain attached to your nervous system. Every justification you provide is a handle they can use to pull you back into the drama. The sovereign man understands that the only effective way to remove a biological drain is to become socially Vanta Black. You do not negotiate with a tick, you simply remove it and cauterize the wound. We are going to prisect the mechanics of the absolute exit, learning how to sterilize your environment, how to manage the post-extraction void, and how to build a perimeter that is biologically toxic to any future parasitic infection. This is the end of your life as a host and the beginning of your existence as a fortress. The first law of the extraction is the immediate cessation of information. Information is the lifeblood of the human parasite. They use what they know about your schedules, your finances, your weaknesses, and your goals to maintain their grip. To begin the extraction, you must trigger a total information blackout. You do not tell them you are leaving. You do not tell them you are cutting them off. You simply stop broadcasting. You become a ghost in their machine. This is not ghosting in the juvenile sense. This is tactical radio silence. When you stop providing the data, the parasite loses its ability to predict your movements and manipulate your emotions. They will react with frantic attempts to re-establish contact using emergency dramas, manufactured tragedies, or sudden outbursts of affection. You must observe these signals with the clinical detachment of a scientist watching a virus die in a petri dish. They are not suffering. They are struggling to find a new vein. If you respond to even one signal, you have reset the entire process. You have signaled that your boundaries are negotiable and that your energy is still available for harvest. You must be the one who can endure the silence longer than they can endure the hunger. Let us analyze the sunk cost fallacy as a biological trap. Many of you are still carrying parasites because you have invested years of time and energy into the relationship. Your brain tells you that if you walk away now, all that energy was wasted. This is a hallucination designed to keep you in the trap. The energy is already gone. It was harvested. The only question that matters is whether you will allow the next 10 years to be harvested as well. To become a sovereign, you must have the coldness to write off your losses. You must recognize that blind repetition of other people's scenarios is a path to the grave. You have been following a script of loyalty and obligation that was written by those who wanted to eat you. To break the cycle, you must priznaj, što ti zaviaz. Admit that you are stuck. Admit that you have been a host, and admit that your current social architecture is a failure. Until you face this truth without the anesthesia of excuses, you will continue to rot from the inside out. The extraction is the only way to stop the decay. It is the surgical removal of the past so that the future can exist. We must discuss the post-extraction void. When you finally cut the cords, there will be a period of intense silence. Your brain, which has been conditioned to the high-frequency noise of parasitic drama, will experience a form of dopamine withdrawal. You will feel lonely, you will feel uncertain, and you may even feel a strange sense of guilt for your own survival. This is the critical moment. This void is not a sign that you made a mistake. It is the sign that your nervous system is finally cooling down. It is the social zero point from which true sovereignty is born. The apex predator thrives in this void. He uses the silence to listen to his own instincts, to refine his mission, and to build his internal fortress. Most men cannot handle the void. They immediately go out and find new parasites to fill the silence. They trade one lamprey for another because they are afraid to be alone with their own ambition. You must be different. You must embrace the void until your parasite radar is fully calibrated. You must reach a state where you would rather walk through the world alone than have one person next to you who is not a hunter. Consider the construction of the zero-tolerance perimeter. Once the extraction is complete, you must ensure that your environment is biologically hostile to any future parasitic infection. You do this by raising the cost of entry to your life. You no longer grant trust by default. You grant it only after a long clinical vetting process. You look for the biological markers of reciprocity and high-value contribution. If someone wants a seat at your table, they must bring a kill to share. They must provide intel, resources, or specialized skills that increase the dominance of the pack. If they only bring needs and vibe, they are denied entry. You must become a gatekeeper of your own vitality. This is the ultimate form of self-respect. It is the realization that your energy is a finite finite resource that belongs to your mission and your true pack, not to the world at large. Most of you are still public utilities. Anyone can walk in and use you. You must become a private citadel. By the time you realize that samumu nevitashchit, that you cannot pull yourself out of the mud of these toxic hierarchies alone, you will understand the value of a strogo opisani marshrat. Finally, we must address the sovereign's weaponry in 2026. The world is getting more parasitic, not less. The digital landscape is filled with entities designed to drain your attention and your resources. To survive, you must build systems that operate independently of human caprice. This is the essence of the Protocol 260. It is a system designed to help you build an automated YouTube and AI-driven empire that extracts value from the world without requiring you to engage with the parasitic masses. It allows you to build your wealth and your influence in the silence of your fortress, while the pillars of society are being drained by their social obligations and their toxic families. You are building a digital sinew that is unhackable and unrelenting. You are using the tools of the future to execute the ancient laws of the predator. You must vypishi swój samie oczyvidnie iluzji regarding the people in your life. Stop believing that you can fix them. Stop believing that they will change. The only thing you can change is your own proximity to the rot. Stand up, cut the cords, sterilize the wound, and never let another parasite cross your perimeter again.